Alright everyone, so this upcoming Friday, the 21st of September, is looking pretty fucking stacked with releases, and I'm really looking forward to diving into all of them and shit, and reviewing as much of them as I fucking can. However, there were quite a few releases last week as well, and it's gonna start like stacking up if I don't make this video where I just gauntlet style, just rapid fire go through a handful of releases I listened to that came out last week that I didn't get the chance to make full-on reviews for, that maybe I wanted to or something. And yeah, I don't want it to get too, you know, overwhelming, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just cover all of them here, starting off with the main one I was hoping to get a review out for, but unfortunately I didn't, which is fucking Noname. Room 25 by Noname. This is a pretty successful and worthy follow-up to her fantastic Telephone mixtape that came out back in 2016, which is probably my favorite mixtape of all time, to be honest, and I think Room 25 follows suit, except this time it's showing Noname a little bit more vulnerably. She dives a little deeper into the darker recesses of her thoughts surrounding her success as a musician, her growth as a person, police brutality, racism, politics, religion, and many other different topics. However, none of these songs are really all that focused in on one designated subject matter, because her rapping style, it's kind of influenced by sort of spoken word poetry and stuff, so she's a little bit rambly with her writing. She kind of just moves from one idea to the next. It's just sort of her spilling out from her brain whatever's on her mind at this current point in time. It's just kind of how every song feels. Very rarely is there like a song with like a full-on like concept, like an ongoing theme or like some kind of subject matter that gets carried across the verses and shit. Like her lyrics, her writing, it's mainly just like whatever's on her mind. She just kind of goes from one thing to the next. But I think it's all the better for it because her delivery is just so humble and passionate, and she has a great sense of humor on this album too. And musically, this thing falls in line for the most part with what was going on Telephone. It's very jazzy, very smooth, very melodic. But now there's a little bit of a higher budget. The instrumentation on Room 25 is warmer, it's weightier, it's more full. It sounds incredibly organic and natural, and her flow, her rapping ability has definitely improved on this project too. It's so much more focused and impressive, especially on songs like Montego Bay. It was definitely impressive just the way she would switch up her flow pretty seamlessly on that song. It just showed a bit of growth, in my opinion, for her as a rapper. And instrumental highlights include the incredibly intense, urgent, immediate bass groove on the track Blaxploitation, the heart-meltingly sunny guitars on the song With You. I fucking love the strings on the song, any of the songs that have strings. Literally every implementation of strings on this album went over pretty wonderfully, especially on the song Don't Forget About Me in particular. The outro of Regal was pretty gorgeous. The very tropical kind of uplifting groove on the track Window was lovely, and the crushingly gorgeous piano on the closer was so great too. And I think Noname has this really personal and relatable tone of just confidence in how uncertain and scared she really is on this album, because on songs like Don't Forget About Me especially, I genuinely think she sounds incredibly afraid on this song. It sort of sounds as if she's just trying to keep it together, but she just can't or something, because deep down she's just so kind of broken as a result of just like reflecting on where she is and the people around her and how she wants to be remembered, and she just sounds really hurt by it all and conflicted on this song. And this track actually made me cry. I thought it was really beautiful. It's one of the most honest and gorgeous things I've listened to all year. Probably my favorite track on this album. The instrumental was just so beautifully reserved and subdued as well to match the lyrical tone too. My only issues with the album come in the first 4 tracks having a bit of a shaky flow. I think just the way it's structured and sequenced in the opening, you know, the first third of the album is a little bit sketchy to me. I think there were too many fade outs on this album because the instrumentation is just so beautiful, the production is so lush. I feel like you could have ended some of these songs in a more dazzling and memorable way. I think some of the fade outs just felt like a little bit of a cop-out, and I think sometimes with Noname's verses on this thing, because her style, her approach is so deeply rooted in like that spoken word poetry type of writing, I feel like sometimes it doesn't translate all that well into compelling rap verses. I think on the songs Regal, Part of Me, and Window in particular, I think there's a disconnect at some points on a few verses here and there. I thought the beat on the song Part of Me was a bit weak, personally, although the song Ace as well is fucking fantastic. Smino, Saba, and Noname are scarily perfect together. Love the hook from Smino. Saba's verse was brilliant. Yeah, great song. Overall, it's an 8 out of 10 though. I really did love this thing. I thought it was really wonderful. Great rap album this year. Some really great jazz rap. I highly recommend it. One of the best rap releases of 2018. Yeah, I forgot that it was 20. I was like about to say 2017. That was really weird. Anyway, let's move on to fucking Orbital. Okay, so Orbital, Monsters Exist. I like Orbital, oh fucking wow. This one, The Middle of Nowhere. This is my favorite one. I fucking like that one. But yeah, Insides is also pretty sweet. But yeah, this new one is an absolutely disgusting, abhorrent mess of an album with little to no subtlety at all. It's overproduced to absolute shit, and it sounds like something you would hear at like the end of a YouTube EDM beatmaker tutorial for like FL Studio or something. Like at the end of the video, like the person who makes the tutorial, they like plug like some song they've made at the end to just prove how sick they are. Like, you should totally watch my tutorials, because look, I made this song. It's so good. I know what I'm doing, guys. Yeah, damn near every track on the album sounds like the song that would then play in that context, and some of the synth choices on this thing are just like horribly dated. I feel like some of the tracks here are structured in the most predictable and annoyingly safe way too. The 7-minute long track, Fuck, or PHUK, one of the most difficult to listen to in their entirety songs of 2018 for me. There's never like an atmosphere being built with this album or anything. Occasionally there might be a few interesting sound design tricks or something in the second half especially. There are a few moments where I was like, okay, there was some cool sound play going on or whatever, some cool synth work, but it's kind of like a cheap thrill. It's nothing really all that interesting to me. Ultimately, this album was just fucking gross. Feeling a 3, did not enjoy it. Thoroughly disliked it, actually. Next up I have Black, or Six Lack. Yeah, okay, I was kind of rooting for this guy because I think his free Black album, I thought that was, in regards to the spectrum of moody OVO trap fucking nocturnal R&B singer dudes, I thought he had a good sense of melody. I think he did a good job at capturing that kind of nocturnal, woozy atmosphere. There were some decent hooks, some pretty booming production at points. I thought he was on the upper echelon of the spectrum, right? But then he drops this fucking album, East Atlanta Love Letter. It's the most unbelievably generic shit ever. Like, it sounds like everything. It sounds like fucking everything. Like, this album wouldn't end. It just would not fucking end. Like, honestly, I swear to God, whenever a track would end, there would just be another one. Every time. Like, Jesus Christ, it just never finished. And, yeah, it's just... Oh yeah, J. Cole had a feature. It was kind of a pretty verse, it was kind of personal, it was poignant-ish. I don't know, yeah, I felt like a 4. This was the most generic shit in the world. I'm feeling, yeah, a 4 out of 10. Next up is Dizzy Rascal with Don't Gas Me, the EP. An absolutely wonderful EP, a really great blend of Dizzy's more pop-oriented sound, and it's meshed pretty nicely with the kind of cutthroat grime edge that he showcases on his first 2 albums, Showtime, Boy in the Corner, you know, that kind of style. It's blended pretty brilliantly with his more kind of house-influenced pop sound, like especially on that opening track, Don't Gas Me, which has a really propulsive, booming house beat, and Dizzy's just rapping incredibly aggressively on it. It makes for a really daring, bold, exciting start to the album. I thought it was fucking awesome, and there are numerous highlights in regards to just rap performances on this thing, like the song Spin Ya. Yeah, Dizzy's verse on that track, yeah, it spun me. In regards to Dizzy's technical ability as a rapper, he is on fucking top form with this thing. His speedy, dynamic flow on this thing is absolutely dizzying. No pun intended. Like, it's stunning at points, honestly. And I don't think it ever feels forced. Like, with the speedy flows or, like, the impressive rapping skill, I don't ever think it feels padded out with filler lines. He puts so much character into every fucking syllable on this album, on this EP, and that's kind of how I've always, one of the main things I've always loved about Dizzy Rascal, with how much energy and charisma he puts into every fucking word. Like, he's such a vibrant personality to listen to, and at the same time, he's still a really impressive MC, and that's on full display with this thing. The song Money Right with Skepta is probably one of the stronger pop rap singles of the year, honestly. Skepta delivers a fantastic feature. His hook is an earworm, and his verse is brilliant too. Such a great performance there, and Dizzy holds his own really nicely as well, and that piano on the beat, very hypnotic. I think the closer was a little bit safe. It was kind of on the trendier side, nowhere near as daring or as striking as some of the other cuts here. Not too bad though. The song Quality was pretty good too. I do think the hook on this track was a little bit weak personally, but overall a highly enjoyable EP, one of the best EPs of the year, and some of the best rap performances I have heard in 2018, period. I'm feeling a 7 out of 10 on it, very strong. Next up, it's Low. I might spend some more time with this one though, because I might feel, okay, you know what? I'm gonna spend some more time with this album, and if my opinions on it change, I will update you on a future sequel to this video. But for now, I do not like this album. I think this is one of the most insanely lazy and faux deep fucking experimental albums of 2018. It's experimental in the same way I thought 22 A Million was experimental. Like, the songwriting on that album is fucking lazy as fuck. Like this is the thing with this Low album, it trades crafting compelling songs for, you know, being all like, whoa, this is fucking deep, bro. That's kind of how it comes off. Like, they just kind of throw in like sound effects, and there are songs here that do nothing, and they're just empty bridges to nowhere. Like, the experimentation on this thing feels so unnatural and just for the sake of experimentation. You know, I don't think the songs at their core are very well written at all. on this thing. And goddamn, the fucking lyrics on this thing are so frustratingly obtuse and fail to actually present any sort of resonant feeling or moving tone or anything like that. Some songs here definitely left an impression on me, like the opener and the closer being two prime examples, but it's a unique album, but I found it pretty sluggish and unrewarding based on the 2 or so listens I gave it, which I know is not a lot. I do want to give it more time because I feel like there is maybe there is something here that I'm going to just come around to, but for now, yeah, this thing is a fucking slog, and the experimentation, it doesn't go over well at all. The vocal manipulation on this thing is horrid. Yeah, don't enjoy this much at all. Well, I have not enjoyed it so far, but I may come around. If I do, I will update you on a future video sequel to this one. And yeah, I feel like a 4 right now though. So yeah, moving on after that, it is Gets with Ghetto Gospel and New Testament. Painfully uninteresting grime album. Instrumentally, this thing does not seem willing to embrace the wild eccentricities that are available to you in the grime genre. Like grime, one of the most fun things about it is how off the wall and bold it is with its instrumentation and its production. But here he plays it really safe with some pretty trendy trap pop inspired, you know, hip hop beats. Like if you enjoyed the Stormzy debut album, you might dig this. You know, because it quite similarly is a pretty, you know, safe blend of trap, pop, and grime. And if that was your thing, you might dig this new Gets, but that was not my thing. It's not really for me. I felt like a 5 on this. It was pretty average, in my opinion. And finally, we have Bad Baby. Honestly, this is a disgustingly obnoxious album, sure, but fucking hell, it is catchy. I really like the insanely just unapologetic, overly confident yet hilariously moronic tone of her voice, and I think it's great. I think it works really well for the type of music she makes. There are some serious earworms on this thing. There's filler, there's fucking filler for sure. The beats choices on this thing, it's insanely cliche, generic shit, but what else could you expect? Some of it's pretty fun. I'm feeling like a 6. It's not like, yeah, I mean, my enjoyment for this thing is, it's not like legit enjoyment really. It's just, I do enjoy it, but like, yeah, it's, I don't know. I think as far as her rapping skill goes, she is pretty much on par with, you know, a lot of modern contemporary popular rappers, so yeah, I don't know. The last track can fuck right off though. That track, mate, that song was fucking no. But yeah, that's everything. That's the roundup of last week's releases. I'm gonna just chill for a bit, come back to you whenever the fuck I am ready to review any of these albums that come out on Friday. Yeah, cool. Bye.